of this station.
It's time to get on the right path with Right Path Real Estate Radio with Jason Bible. Get the answer to your question that's keeping you from taking action and succeeding today. Get ready. The guide that will put your fears behind you is on the air now. Taking calls at 713-785-1817. Toll free 877-881-0271. Now here's your host, Jason
Hot
Bible.
mics.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. A little different show today. I've got Kathryn Orfino in studio. Doing good today?
Doing great, Jason. I'm really excited to be here.
And you're only on cup of coffee number 2, right?
I am, but I'm just hyped to be here and be talking with you this morning.
This is great. So what we're going to talk about today are keys to money mastery. How do you master money? How do you manage money? We talk on the show, obviously, about real estate investing, building a portfolio, flipping, wholesaling houses, those sort of things. But one of the challenges we see is when people start making more money, they start doing some kind of crazy things with money. So today's show is really dedicated to those folks. As you become successful, what do you do with that excess capital, right? It's not go out. We call the guys that go out and buy Lamborghinis and Ferraris that take pictures and on Facebook and then show pictures of the checks on Facebook. We call them Lambros. So the idea here is not to go buy a Ferrari, Lamborghini. The idea is to invest and continue to invest and make good choices with your funds and profit from your deals. And so
Absolutely.
You work with a lot of people that on the outside look are successful folks, right? But then end up spending a lot of their money, right? So what do you see in your world, and how do you help people manage their money a little bit better?
Yeah, so I talk with a lot of different people on a week-to-week and a month-to-month basis, and it's really interesting to me because I talk to people who make $40,000 a year or less, and I talk to people who make over $400,000 a year or sometimes more. And what's really interesting to me is a large percentage of them, no matter what their income, are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, It's kind of like you just keep upgrading your lifestyle, right? You keep upgrading your expenses.
Exactly. If that next check doesn't come in, they're not making the mortgage payment. They're not making the car payment. And it literally is that level of stress that you have. If anything happens, it's paycheck to paycheck. And so it's really an education process to just say, and Warren Buffett's one of my favorite guys. Save first. Then pay the mortgage, then buy the cars. But pay yourself first for your future. And so we really work with people to help them figure out what makes sense for them to be spending. And most people, when they look, they find opportunities.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start measuring. It's that old adage, what gets measured gets managed, right? And so if you're not measuring, one of the things that Sarah and I would do is when our careers were taking off and we were starting to make more money, whatever we saved was always had to be more than what the mortgage is, which is usually the mortgage was the obviously the highest liability, the most expensive liability we had, and then we had kids, and daycare was actually took over the mortgage. So we had to save more than the mortgage and or the kid daycare stuff. So what do you see when people start managing their money and they really start measuring things, how much they're spending on certain things? Where do you see things that they can improve? Their finances.
For a lot of people, interestingly, it's eating out.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And whether they're single or whether they're married, a lot of people end up spending much more than they think they are on eating out. And sometimes it's eating out at nice places, and sometimes it's drive-thrus. But a lot of times people don't realize just how much they're spending eating out and cutting back there. And, maybe my husband and I will have a cooking Sunday.
Okay.
Where on Sunday we just cook. And then we have lunches and a couple of dinners for the week. And it's a one-time effort, but it saves us from heading out to restaurants, and restaurants are a lot more expensive than cooking at home. So that's one example of ways that we can help people. And the other thing is just taking a look at subscriptions.
Interesting. So how many people have the same subscriptions for the same service?
My husband and I, it turns out we both had an audible.com account. We didn't know it. We had bought the same books on each account. We didn't know it. One was on the credit card that he usually uses. One was on the credit card I usually use. And until we put it together and actually monitored, we had no idea.
Yeah, and you're just spending $10, $15. Although it doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the day, it's a lot when it all adds up.
It all adds up. And there's usually, most people can find some little things like that. Is there a gym subscription that you haven't used in a year that you're still paying for? A lot of people can say yes.
What's amazing to me is when we sit down with somebody and we start developing marketing plans to go buy single-family houses, for example.
Yep.
And the question always comes up, well, how much money do I need to spend on marketing? And, of course, my response is, how much you got, right? I mean, I've got, maybe I've got $200 a month to spend on marketing. It's like, well, that's not really going to work. And then when you start to dig into their budget, well, I got this and this and that, and you start to realize, okay, if you could save a couple $100 over here and then redeploy that capital into revenue generating activities where you're actually spending money on marketing, now you're buying houses, and then it starts making a whole lot of sense. One of the things we like to look at in our household is I look at what something cost for me to acquire a house. For example, we bought a new truck this year, and when I look at the truck and I'm like, this thing is great. But we started Houston house buyers for what I spent on this vehicle, right? So when somebody says, hey, Jason, we know you like, nice cars. I like Corvettes, right? So why don't you go out and buy a Corvette? And I said, well, if you look at the amount of after-tax dollars it takes to buy that thing and really depreciation is your biggest expense on a vehicle, right?
Yep.
Depreciation, maintenance, all that other stuff, that's a very expensive vehicle. And I'd just rather go out and buy some more houses. So you guys see subscription services, eating out. What other kind of things that you see folks end up spending money on that they don't recognize that they're spending money on when they're not measuring their funds?
Some people really go on shopping sprees.
Really?
So they'll go to the mall for something, and they'll come home with bags full of stuff. And you see people who can go into cupboards or go into closets and see things still in original packaging or clothes with the tags still on. And that's not true of everyone.
Right.
But if it's something that happens, then you have stuff sitting that you've never, ever used. And so I think just decluttering and figuring out what you have that you want and need and what you have that you just wanted and will never use, that's another place that people can really save. And I'll tell you what, you can make a little bit of money by rounding all that up and having a garage sale or eBay or any of the apps that are out there today.
It's not uncommon for us to buy a hoarder house where we find a massive amount of stuff that's brand new, still still in the bag with the tags. We have. I was chatting with one of the folks in our mastermind Pathfinder group, and they just bought a flip house. And when they bought the house, they were walking the house, and she said, "I could not, with good conscience, throw all this stuff away." She said there was a ton of brand new stuff. Now, from an investor standpoint, it's like, look, you don't need to be having garage sales and all that. You've got your better use of your time, but she just could not do it. So she made a couple $1,000 like selling all of this stuff, right? But it's amazing how many hoarder houses you go into, and there's no other nice way to put it. A lot of these things are hoarder. Like you said, I mean, it's closets full of brand new stuff, attics full of it inside the house, and then you end up selling all these things. So yeah, it's the continual shopping spree, right?
Absolutely. Those are really the big ones. And then just things you didn't remember that you were paying for, that you signed up for ages ago. Cell phone service, right? You, at one point, went into a contract. The contract's gone. You haven't updated a phone. Have you checked to see? There's some wars going on right now in the mobile industry space. Can you lower your bill? I went into my carrier, and I said, what can you do about my bill? and they took it down by 2/3 because
Wow.
I just hadn't been in there in a long time, and the prices came down.
Yeah, there's cell phone service, and the one that always gets me is the TV stuff, right? So my wife and I watch 2 channels. We watch NFL Network, and then, of course, Root Sports, because that's only on cable for the Astros. And, of course, you do the introductory package, and it's $100 a month, and it balloons into $300 a month, and I'm like, we're not doing that. I don't care how much money you make. We don't watch but a handful of a bit of TV every now and then. I'm like, this is insane. So that's another one where you start looking at your home internet bill and all that other stuff, and it adds up to real dollars, a few $1,000. What have you seen when you sit down with folks and start helping them going through their finances? What have you seen savings wise when you really start helping folks manage their finances?
It obviously depends a lot on the person, their family situation, where they're living. The cost of living varies from place to place, but at minimum, I've seen most people can cut at least $100 a month with no pain, just by getting rid of stuff they're not using, the extra subscriptions, the TV channels they no longer watch, asking about their cell phone bill. And then if they're willing to make a few changes, instead of going to Starbucks 3 times a day, go once.
Yeah.
And save that difference. But that adds up. And so we start out with the baby steps. And then all of a sudden you start to see the savings grow. And you see the opportunities that you can do with that money. And all of a sudden people are willing to take bigger steps. So money scares a lot of people. And it's really starting with finding things that are easy to do so that they see results right away and get excited. And then moving on to the big savings so that money can start working for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have some money to be able to make some money, right?
Yes,
so
you do.
ultimately you've got, and I'll tell you, for those of you who are brand new investors, for those of you who may be a little bit younger or have some financial challenges, it literally does start with 10, 15, 20, $100 a month.
Absolutely.
And then as you grow and make more money, you continue those good habits. Because I'll tell you, if you got bad habits now making $40,000 a year, you're just going to take those habits with you when you're making $400,000 a year. So we get back from the break. We're going to talk more about money mastery with Kathryn Orfino. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. All right, let's see here. We got let's see. I like that,
Time
Michael.
is money in a real estate deal.
What
If
was
your
it?
insurance company
Just
is
said
slow or
going to the grocery
non-responsive,
store
you could
and
lose a
buying
deal
stuff that you will not
like that.
use in the next month.
You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders. The agency for that is
I'll tell you one
Benchmark
that's been
Insurance
shocking to
Defense.
me,
The team at
because
Benchmark
yeah, you can go and
understands
load
the
up on
best
all this
advice.
stuff at the grocery
They
store
know
that you
what
don't need.
and when you need
But
it.
Sarah's
We're
been
here for you.
using
Are you a
HEB's got
rehabber,
curbside
wholesaler,
delivery, and
buying
she's
whole or
used
flipping? Bundling
a
your
couple of those
properties on a
grocery
single
services
policy
where they
will
bring
help
it to the
save
house,
time and money.
but you only buy what you
Benchmark
need.
has
She
been
logs
in
in,
business
buys,
for over 10
so
years.
you don't
We
ever
insure over 30,000
buy
policies.
all this extra
Contact
stuff.
Benchmark about our
Now, there's going to be
exclusive
some
investment
markup because they've got to
Call us and
deliver
let
it
us
to you and
show
that sort of
what
thing.
we
But
have
when
for
you
you
look
for
at
you.
it in aggregate, you actually
281
do save some money. It's
569
fascinating.
4353.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
know I
281
do not go to the
569
grocery store hungry.
4353.
Yeah, that's right. That's the rule, right?
Absolutely.
That's the rule. You got to go. Don't go hungry, and then walk on the outside aisles, right? Don't go on the
281
inside aisles.
Or online
So,
at
I see
benchmarkbroker.com.
Robert's watching the feed. He's in New Jersey, right?
He is in New Jersey, yeah.
I saw that
cracks in
Facebook
your
Live.
brick,
I'm like, that looks
doors that
miserable.
slip, or
Standing on the
Yeah.
beach with that wind.
Then you
Yeah,
may have foundation
it's a
movement.
little
Due to
chilly
our
out there
financial
right
woes in
now.
the Houston area, it's probably not
That's
a question
funny.
of
All right,
if
let's
you
take a
have
look at your
movement,
list here.
but when. Call Foundation Check for a truly independent, unbiased foundation evaluation. Foundation
Dad says,
Check
I
has
can't
been in
hear the
business
guests
since
very well, so
2009
do I need to
and has
turn you
completed
up a little
over
bit?
1,400 evaluations.
All right.
We're not in the business of
Here we go.
repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary peer work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties.
I don't know if you want to
Each
get
of our
into smart
files
banking
is
or not.
reviewed
That's
by
a little bit of
licensed
a more
engineer. Remember to
complicated
check
subject.
before ever repair.
I don't mind. I mean, we absolutely can.
702-3825.
I would-
346-702.
We're quickly getting to the point now. Our group is mature enough we can start talking about smart banking and starting to do things with your IRA and all that other stuff.
Investor
So
loans offering up to
my
100%
only-
financing are still available.
it was kind of
You just
interesting
have to
having
know where to
Charles
look.
in town
Look no
last night for
further
the whole
than
group.
Noble Mortgage.
We've already got people
Noble
that are
Mortgage
working
is
with
a
him.
full-service mortgage
And,
company that's been helping investors since 2003.
what I thought was interesting
Noble
is,
Mortgage offers up
you know,
to
you
100% financing. to
guys at that
investors
level
that
can
covers
really
purchase,
show you some
repairs,
really
and
cool
closing
stuff.
costs.
And everybody gets
In addition
really
to
excited
private
about
money,
that.
Noble
And I had a
Mortgage
couple of folks
offers
ask me
conventional
afterwards, "Hey,
loans,
Jason, do you think I should do
FHA,
X, Y, or
and
Z?" And I said,
no
"Look, man,
income documentation
let's be real
loans
honest.
for both residential
Without a deal,
and commercial
none of this
properties.
stuff matters.
Call and ask about
Like,
our
it's
5-point
great,
guarantee, which includes
it's really attractive,
pre-qualifications
but
within 2 business
let's
days.
get some deals
Call
in, right? And then we can go into
713-680-8100
structuring really
or
neat,
visit noblemoney.com.
attractive
That's
terms and that sort of thing.
noblemoney.com.
So,
Our team has over 50
yeah, we
years
can
of
absolutely
experience in
talk
the
about it. I
mortgage
really want to
industry.
talk about that
Call us
kind of that
today,
transition from,
713-680-8100,
saving a few $100
or
a
visit
month
us on the web,
to
noblemoney.com,
pull that thing back up.
noblemoney.com.
NMLS 292143,
here.
8203 Willow Place
Yeah,
Drive,
broke at a
Houston,
high
Texas,
level.
77070.
I did. Yeah, we didn't use that
Are
term
you looking
yet.
for an
Yeah.
investor-friendly
That's-
general contractor for your investment property?
One
then
minute.
call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992.
That doesn't surprise me. Flippers who flip 30 houses and 15K in the bank.
Or
A lot of
reach
times
out
they
on
just
the
don't
web
have the
at
margin.
fasttrackremodeling.com.
Exactly.
Fast
Exactly.
Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties.
But if you
Whether
set
it's a flip
the
rehab
savings
or a rental
first,
rehab,
then
we
you don't run
manage
into
every
that.
aspect
Right,
of a
right.
rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient,
Yeah, we had gotten at one
standardized
point, we were
process.
making
Over the last
maybe
6
like
years, Fast Track has completed over 700
80
projects.
grand a year
which has
between
helped
the
us to
two of us. It was
create
like
our
right
three
when we got
keys to
married.
success.
We were saving
Use a detailed
anywhere
scope of
between
work
$2,000
so
and
that
$3,000
everything gets
a
done.
month.
Train
I
and
mean,
maintain quality
it was
crews
awesome. Then you
so
start
it
having
gets done
kids,
right,
and then of course
and
started
complete the
making more
work
money,
in a
which
proper
helped.
order
But
so it gets
as
done
a relative
fast.
percentage,
No more
it was like,
managing it
man, you could
yourself,
save a
no
lot of
more
money
doing the
when
work yourself.
you don't have
Fast
these
Track
kids that
Remodeling really does manage it all.
run you
So give us a call
$1,000 a month in
today,
daycare.
832
Yeah,
742
yeah. Robert did the same
9992.
thing before
Again,
I
that's
knew him. He was in debt. He was
832-742-9992,
coming out with the
or
with
reach
the
us on the web
boys,
at
Yeah.
spent everything he made, and then he decided he wanted to buy a house.
Yeah, and then it was
So
like,
he
forget
started
that.
cooking. He
Jason
stopped
at
going out, and within I think a couple of years, he bought his house.
Look for us
that's
on
awesome.
Facebook Live at
think we're coming back.
facebook.com/RightPath
Okay.
Real Estate.
Hot mics.
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Real Estate Investor Friday. We're talking about money mastery. I've got Kathryn Orfino in the studio, and we're talking about taking baby steps right now. We may finish up the show with a little smart banking, but we're slowly working up to it. Managing your money. It doesn't matter if you make $40,000 or $40,000 a year or $400,000. We've met folks of both of those income groups, and they live paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely, it's frightening. 400,000. We just say it's broke at a higher level.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, broke at a higher level, and I'll tell you what, you could see it when there's a dip in the economy at those income levels. Those houses go into foreclosure just like any other house.
Absolutely. I mean, you even see there's real estate gurus out on the circuit that when the recession hit, they were over leveraged. They didn't have the savings in place, and they're still out hustling because they weren't in the right situation with their money when the economy fell.
I find it fascinating, and you guys know one of my favorite punching bags on the show is real estate gurus, but I always love it when a real estate guru who's been a guru for 25 or 30 years is still teaching real estate about how to retire. And I always want to ask them, you're just doing this for fun, right? Because you surely can retire at this point. And you're right. Some of the risk, one of the things I'm a big fan of is ultimately paying rental properties off and not always re-leveraging. Pay
Yes.
these things off. And folks will tell me, well, Jason, you got all this debt equity in properties. And I say, yeah. So when the market collapses and rents, and there is a dip in rents, don't get me wrong, rents do dip at some point.
They do.
And, you take that dip in rents and you're still cash flowing, who cares? Or if you own them free and clear, rents can dip in half and you're still making money. I mean, it's at that point, it's about risk management, right? And leverage is great. Leverage is great when times are great, but leverage will whip back on you pretty quickly if it runs the other way. And you guys have seen that, obviously, working with a lot of clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of Robert's friends that he goes fishing with, this gentleman says he hasn't been on a vacation in about 25 years, but he goes on a lot of business trips.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
But his rule of thumb is 10 free and clear to one leveraged on his rentals.
I like that. Yeah, you're at like 10% leverage, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty much.
No matter what happens, he's good.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. What is your stress level at that point? It's about 0, right?
Exactly. And he enjoys those business trips and all sorts of interesting places.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
Oh, it's terrible. Just those vacations. I don't know what a vacation is. I'm always working. It's awful. Always got to work, guys. I mean, and with the intention of we may go somewhere, but it's a business trip in person.
Yes.
Can't always do something over the internet, over Zoom, that sort of thing. You got to travel somewhere.
You do.
I hear you. It's terrible when I got to go and hang out with you guys in LA. It's just awful.
I know, and I understand that you can't stand the sushi out there, and we make you eat it.
That's right. Although on a completely separate note, I have no idea how those all-you-can-eat sushi places survive in California. I don't get it. I don't know how it's a sustainable business model, but we go every time because they don't have those here. So, in any case, speaking of eating out, go to the all-you-can-eat sushi places in LA. They're fantastic. So, in any case, to go back to money mastery. So let's start with baby steps here. We're managing our money. We got a household budget. And I'll tell you guys right now, we have a household budget. My wife and I look at it about every quarter. She really manages the household budget, and then I manage all the business stuff. But we have a little budget set aside, and I set aside, it's about $5,000 every month. I put into the kitty at home, and then Sarah's obviously got her income from her job, and then that's what we use. And we actually have a whole separate savings account in our household, right?
Yep.
Manage every little dollar in there. And I'll tell you right now, the bane of our existence right now is we actually have 3 cars. And this is terrible. This is a total what do you call this? We were talking about instant gratification earlier. I've always wanted one of those Honda Elements.
Okay.
It's a big box.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they're so cool. So one of the neighbors down the street was selling one. Original owner, 180,000 miles on it. It was like $4,500. I'm like, I got to have one of these. So we bought it, and she claims she hates it, but she drives it all the time. We got a Honda Accord and that, and then I got my truck. Anyway, so we've got 3 cars now, and it's like, we got to get rid of one of these cars. I'm like, it's not really a big deal. But when you look at, hey, this is what it costs us, even if you own them cash. There is a cost associated with owning a car, right?
There is insurance. There is maintenance, yes.
Yeah, and there's depreciation.
Absolutely.
You are paying depreciation on these vehicles, right? And for us, when I look at what's in the grand scheme of things, we're doing okay, right? But let's say it's $400 a month. We know what $400 a month is? That's a rental property. I know what it takes to get a rental property at $400 a month. Like it takes some effort, takes some financing. So if you could save $400 a month, that's the same as making $400 a month.
Absolutely.
And $400 a month at the end of the year is $5,000.
And if you're saving it, you're not paying more taxes.
That's right.
So it's
absolutely.
actually more than the $400 a month if you earned it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you look at one of my favorite things to teach on. Weekend retreat started today. You and I are going to be there at the weekend retreat. And I'll tell you, one of the things at the weekend retreat we talk about is opportunity cost.
Yes.
So it's taxes and interest and all that stuff, that extra $5,000. And then ultimately is, hey, what could I be doing with that $5,000 that I could be doing something else with? And I'll tell you right now, one of the things we teach is for marketing, for every $3,000 to $5,000 I spend in marketing or 40 to 60 hours in marketing work, I buy a house. You could buy a house with $5,000.
Yes, you can.
Or less. We prefer the or less. But you can buy a house for $5,000. That makes you $500. So you save $500. Now you're making an extra $500. That's a net $1,000. Now, like I said, now we're talking about real money.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, if they just look, coming up with that kind of money isn't that hard. Mm-hmm. And you can make the changes to do it, and you can start actually putting that money to work for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what we mean when we say what does putting my money to work for me mean? It means investing it so that it earns you more money, as opposed to just spending it on something where you have something sitting in a closet or you have something sitting in a driveway, maybe not being driven.
That's right. I'll tell you, with the new where we live now with the new house, she might drive 400 miles a month at this point. So it's like, can we get you a golf cart? And you just golf cart around. And so anyways, but yeah, not being, yeah, I got it.
And we've got the same thing. We've got 3 vehicles right now. The pickup truck from when we had the construction company. And it's like, we have got to sell that before it depreciates any further.
It's a Tacoma, isn't it?
It is.
You got to keep it. And those things virtually do not depreciate. It's like a Jeep Wrangler's the same thing. It's like, you buy them new, and because it doesn't make any sense buying a used one, right? So you got to hold on to the Tacoma. So, anyways, but yeah, I hear, and you guys are getting Jeeps, right?
We are. Robert has his, and I'm heading out by the end of the month. I'll have mine as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I noticed that we're a part of a group, and depending on you hit certain milestones, the company actually pays for a Jeep. So a bunch of us here at the office are buying Jeeps, which is a heck of a lot of fun. If you want to know more about that, you can send us an email, support@RightPath Real Estate, and we'll send you a link to all that. But it has to do with this, money mastery, right? How do you save money and how do you make money? So,
absolutely.
So I was on a webinar that you had done probably 6-8 months ago, where you had talked about going through this process.
Yes.
And how much money you'd saved and how much money you'd made and what that looked like by the end of the year. So maybe you could take us through that process that you and Robert went through, and then how much money you saved, how much money you made, and what that first 12 months looks like.
Absolutely. So the first and number one thing is to actually figure out, most people know all the money they have coming in. And they think they know where it's all going. And I mean, I've got a degree in finance. I thought I was pretty on top of all that stuff. But for the first time, Robert and I really got all our information in one place for our household and looked at it globally. And that was when we discovered we had 2 Audible.com accounts. That was when we realized that we hadn't talked to our cable company in 5 years, and we could do a lot cheaper on the cable because the deals that were out there. And it's just really looking at where it all goes. And I discovered I had a little problem with ice cream.
Ice cream?
Every once in a while, I would be spending a silly amount of money on ice cream because, man, I had a great day today. I deserve an ice cream sundae.
Really?
Or, I had a rough day today.
Yeah,
I really want an ice cream sundae.
Which is funny because earlier you told me you didn't have a sweet tooth, right? And you're like,
except for dairy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So I love ice cream. So we actually set up an ice cream budget.
I like it.
And when I get within $10 of my ice cream budget for the month, I get an email that says, hey, you're approaching your ice cream budget.
Oh, that's funny.
Be aware.
Yeah.
And so you set up little automated things to help yourself do the right thing. And so we have a whole suite of tools and services that we use. So it starts with knowing the income and the outgo. And then it's a lot of other services around just getting control of and monitoring your finances. Identity theft is a huge issue. Robert and I, in 2016, someone filed a false tax return on us, which means someone has our socials, our date of birth, our correct address. And we were fortunate. We found out, we got a letter from the IRS around mid-January that said we need a little more information before we can issue your refund.
Yeah, and you looked at it and you're like, refund?
Refund?
You're talking to the wrong... You're talking to the wrong folks here. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. And so that kind of thing is very real. So even if you're doing everything right, the identity protection is also critically important. With the Experian breach, that type of thing is only going to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. We get back from the break. We're going to talk more about this and some interesting conversations I had this week as it relates to this, just managing these smaller things and what that looks like and how you can grow your business. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate.
Mic's off.
Yeah. Too much of a tangent?
No. It's perfect.
Okay.
Did you know that there are over 24
Sometimes you think like you've really got to stay on topic, and a
Imagine
lot
if
of
you could
folks,
use
it's.
someone's IRA to fund all
I used
of
to
your
work for this
deals.
guy Bob,
Well,
and he would call
you
this
can.
kind of stuff
Quest IRA
edutainment.
is based locally
Getting
here in Houston,
educated, you're hearing
Texas.
some stories,
At Quest
and
IRA, We offer
So
retirement accounts.
it's
that can
it's
be
good to
used
go off on the
invest
tangents.
in real estate,
We did a little
promissory
battle on
notes, private
Facebook
entities,
over the
and
last
much
probably
more.
24,
Many of our
48 hours
clients
with some
loan
real estate
money from their
investors.
IRAs to
And
fund
we
real
were talking
estate
about
deals
somebody
all
owed
over the
somebody else
country.
$1,000.
We don't sell
Okay.
any investments or
And
give
it's
advice.
so funny
However,
when
we
people
do
say,
hold
well, I
free
mean, all these
networking
guys
events,
are big
weekly
investors, and
educational
it's
classes,
just
and free
$1,000.
consultations with an
And I said,
IRA specialist.
yeah, it's just
For more
$1,000.
information, visit our
If I could
website
save
at
$1,000
firstira.com
on 200
or
houses
call
that
us
we do
at
a year,
1-855
that's
FUN
200
IRA.
grand.
To tap into
Yes, it
$24 trillion
I went back and
in
forth with a
retirement
private lender
accounts
one day.
in
We
the US,
ultimately
call
fired
First
him as a
IRA
lender.
at
The lenders start sending me these
1-855
emails like,
FUN
well, it
IRA,
looks like I
or
was
go to our
shortchanged about
website,
$500 on this
questira.com.
deal. And I said, yeah, give me a
As a
couple
real
days.
estate
I'll sit down and
investor,
look at the
you rely on
payout.
your
We had already
property
closed on it and
inspector to
everything.
determine the
He said,
current
but I think
condition
it's
of the
about
home and your
$500 off.
potential return
I
on
said, well, give me a
investment.
couple days and I'll sit
Principal
down and take a look
Inspections
at
was
it.
founded by investor
Well,
Jeremy
that wasn't good
Humphrey
enough
to
for him.
do
So he's
just that.
calling and texting
Working
me.
from
I'm
the
like, all right,
investor's
fine.
point of
So
view,
I sat down
Principal
and
Inspections
like we
will
weren't
give you
good for it. So I
turnkey
sat down and figured out. I said,
inspections that are high
oh, it looks like you owe us
quality,
$500.
affordable,
And the whole
focused
time
on
he said, well, it's
information
just
pertinent to
$500. Just write a check.
while not clouding
I'm
the
like,
report
maybe
with
you missed this.
unnecessary details.
200 houses
Founder
at 500
Jeremy
is
Humphrey comes from a
100
family of real
grand. I
estate
mean, it's like
investors. He started
this is
principal
what you
inspections for
manage these
investors
small
because as
things,
an
and
investor himself,
it
he
ends up being
experienced the
big
need
dollars,
for
right?
quality
Absolutely.
inspections
So we get back
with
from break.
information
I'd love for you to
directly
take
pertaining
everybody
property
through that as you guys
condition
were looking
and
at your
potential resale
finances,
value.
how much you
Principal
saved,
inspections will
and then
save
maybe you can
you
talk
time
about
and
how
money.
much you're
Call
making
Principal
through
Inspection,
through the Tronant
832-684-5516.
piece and what that at the end of the year looks like.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'd love for you guys
Or
to do
go
that
online
webinar
to
again. I thought it was fantastic.
principalinspections.com.
I'd be happy to do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love the cut and dry. It's like this. We did this, and we did this, we did this, and here's the number in 12 months. So yeah, it's definitely pretty cool.
So I'm trying to remember now.
Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors
Xbot,
aren't just looking for a
huge.
number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market.
Do you have Bluebell in LA? Do y'all get Bluebell out there?
You have to search for it. You can find it. It's hard to find. LA has a lot of froyo places. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, froyo is not ice cream.
No.
The experts agree.
So
Single-family real estate is one of
it's
the
not
best
it's not
investments
even
you can
close to a
Find
substitute
out
in
how
my
JB
mind.
Really
Fund
interesting.
Services offers a 9% preferred
Hey,
return
Michael,
on
I saw your note in
waterfall.
Basecamp about Charles's stuff. I'm going to send an email out with the presentation from last night and link to the website and his contact info. So everybody's got his stuff. We went to dinner last night and had a great time. Every time I sit down with that guy, my brain just gets blown to pieces.
You've come to the right place. I'm Jennifer
it's incredible
Hernandez,
stuff he can do.
Senior Loan Officer with Legacy Mutual
Oh, there we go,
Mortgage.
Robert. Look at that
Our
best
goal
looking
is to
guest
give our
ever.
borrowers and referral partners
Is she doing okay, Robert?
experience during the loan process. My team believes in putting people and culture before results. Our company concentrates on building those teams who operate
All right,
with
30
structure,
seconds.
Okay.
process, and recognition for going the extra mile for you. This way, we have the energy to make this your best home purchase ever. Give us a call today to find out the simple steps to get started. I'm Jennifer Hernandez, the Hernandez team at Legacy Mutual Mortgage. Jennifer.legacymutual.com or call 713-579-3611. Again, Jennifer.legacymutual.com. We can't wait to consult with you soon. NMLS 514497.
Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS 514497.
This is Business
There we go.
1110.
Call Jason at
Don't call Jason. Not today.
713-785-1817 and look for us on
Just send us an
Facebook
email.
Live at facebook.com/RightPathRealEstate.
Hot mics.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. I'm here with Kathryn Orfino, and we're talking about saving money, putting your money to work, making money. So a little bit more than just real estate. We see a lot of people that get really successful. I've had friends of mine that have done extremely well in other industries, and then they start investing and they start losing money in different things that they don't know. Anyway, so start making a lot of money, and they live paycheck to paycheck just like anybody else. They're just making more money. So they never really build up some wealth. So let's talk about this experience that you and Robert went through over the last 12, 18, 24 months, and how much you saved, and then how much you made through doing some of these things that we're doing now.
Yeah, it hasn't even been that long, actually. It's been closer, I'd say, to about 7 months since we started the process now. So, we started by aggregating all our information. and figuring out some silly places where we were spending money.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about my ice cream problem, the ice cream budget. Everybody has their weakness.
Yeah. Some people are listening like, I wish it was just an ice cream problem, right?
So, we saved a couple hundred a buck more than a few couple $100 a month there.
Mm-hmm.
Defend. So the identity theft protection, that was something that we had and critically important. But we have this bundle of services where a bunch of things that we were buying separately and had subscriptions for month to month are now included. So the identity theft protection is included. We have essentially the Geek Squad on command. And when you're on the road a lot, you are living off that laptop.
That's right.
And you're connecting to hotel Wi-Fi, and that's unsecure. And so every once in a while, things slow down. And so we had our computer guy that we would take it to, and he would go run his magic and declutter the computer and get everything up running fast again. Well, now I have a service. I let them take over my computer remotely. I go get lunch. When I come back, it's all cleaned up, all the
or
spyware
ice cream.
updated.
Probably go for ice cream, right?
Yeah, well, yes.
Hey, I'm going for ice cream. If you could just go ahead and fix my rig up a little bit, I'm going to be doing that. So
yeah, so I no longer have to. First of all, there's the convenience. I don't even have to leave my office. I don't have to leave my house. It just has to have internet access. And second, there's the cost savings that I no longer have to take it to the guy who does the stuff. So there, we saved as well. TaxBot, I will tell you, is one of my favorites.
Pretty cool.
I was famous. I mean, it's hot here in Houston. It gets very hot in LA. And you know that if you go into an IRS audit without a receipt, you lose.
Right.
So you get that little heat receipt and you stick it in the car, and one hot day later, you have a blank piece of paper.
That's right. Yeah, that thermal paper doesn't last long.
It does not last. And even if you don't put it someplace hot, in 6 months, it's illegible anyway. So now I have a little app. And so I have lost thousands in write-offs over the years. I know I have simply because I couldn't read receipts, because I didn't photocopy them and just go through the manual labor of taking care of it. So now I have a little app on my phone. And whenever I buy something, before I ever leave the store, I just step to the side of the register, I take a photograph of it, it uploads to the cloud, and I'm just watching. I love it because every time I pull up the app, there's the number of my write-offs for the year. That just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, and that's awesome. As well as it tracks my miles for me. And LA traffic, getting from point A to point B, the straight line is 20 miles, but depending on the time of day, it might be faster to go the long way for 35. It lets me know. So I would say among all the different things that we're doing to save, first, just being aware of where our money was going. Second, being smarter about the services that we choose to use. We switched over our credit card processing to the business to get a lower rate. We do background checks before we work with or invest with anyone. We're getting a better rate on that. And we're on track this year to save about $10,000. And we didn't even get started until March or April. And we're expecting that number to continue year after year and probably go up.
So 10 grand in 7 months? Is that about right? So that adds up to real money. 10 grand, I don't care who you are. That's real money. And not only that, but it's what's the value in being able to manage this all in one comprehensive suite of services? That's
the huge thing, is it's all right there on my phone. And it makes it easy. And I'll tell you what, you're busy, I'm busy. And the fact that it's simple is what allows me to do it. If it wasn't simple, I'd still have this pile of blank receipts. It has to be easy because otherwise I don't have the time.
Well, there's not only that, but as you and Robert are growing your businesses, obviously Robert owns JB Fund Services, and that thing is growing. We now have a fund, the American Recovery Fund here in Houston. Actually, it's national, but we're using that. We're raising money and doing that here in Houston. But as those things grow, the more organized you are and the more comprehensive the suite of services is, the less people we've got to hire.
Yes.
Which is really nice. I don't need a bookkeeper to hand receipts to. We've got TaxBot, and now we've got legal services through our corporate services and all that, and it's literally done through your phone.
Absolutely.
And it's so inexpensive. It's not even funny.
Yeah. And that's netting $10,000 after paying for the suite of services.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
And plus the opportunity cost of those dollars, right? Where do you, because you guys don't redeploy those dollars into ice creams and all that other stuff, right? It goes back into building businesses. It goes back into doing things where you're actually making money. And if this is something you guys are interested in, send an email to support@RightPath Real Estate, and we'll be happy to introduce this suite of services to you. We'll send you a link with a video and all that, and you can take a look at it. But these suite of services, it's stuff that everybody needs.
Absolutely.
But if you're a 1099 employee or you're a real estate investor, if you're a business owner, everyone needs this. And we haven't even talked about the credit services and life insurance and all that other stuff.
Absolutely.
But there's a whole back end to this thing that, if I had known about this 5 years ago, this was available 5 years ago, we would have been using it the last 5 years. And it's just something that we've been using some of these things for about a year now. So, and you guys for about 7 months. So it's amazing to see the amount of changes that have happened in people's lives. We work with now, I think we've got about 100 folks that are in this group that we work with that are using the suite of services to one degree or another. And it's been amazing to see the transformation in their life, especially as you sit down and meet with them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because everyone has their financial story, right? And some are good and many are not so good. And people think that they're alone in their situations.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Nope.
They are not. But a lot of times it's simple steps. And so, we're saving $10,000, and then it's also, okay, maybe that's not enough. Maybe I need to make a little more as well. And so these suite of services, by referring them and by helping other people get this kind of education, again, we started, but we're expecting to make, on top of the 10 we're saving net, we're expecting to make another $25,000 this year.
So a net $35,000.
Not bad for 7 months.
Not bad, yeah, not bad for 7 months. So median income in the U.S. is $45,000 a year, and that's a 2-earner household. So inside of 12 months, I don't think it would be unreasonable to say that you're probably going to add an entire household worth of income into you and Robert's household.
Absolutely. And like I said, we thought we were pretty on top of our finances, but these things the tools make it so easy to stay on top. Doesn't mean you don't have to make changes, but it makes it so easy that we're doing it.
Right.
It doesn't take that extra effort. Oh, I'll just worry about all those receipts on the weekend. And then the weekend gets busy, or we have an event like we do this weekend and you don't get to it. And once you don't get to it, you never get to it.
Yeah, it just piles up. I like to call it shoebox accounting, where they just shove those receipts in there, and then they send it to their accountant, and they're like, what do I do with this?
Exactly.
This is a disaster.
Exactly.
And then, of course, they charge you through the nose to do tax because you're not organized.
Yeah, and I didn't even talk about what we're going to save on the accounting. The other piece of it is our taxes are being done this year. Our personal taxes, that's included with the suite.
Yes.
Which
is pretty awesome. Yeah. So these suite of services include your personal taxes, and if you use them to put together, if you use the corporate services to put together the LLC, they'll also do the taxes for that for in some cases a nominal fee. A lot of times it's just included in the suite of services.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why do they do that? It's real simple, because if you're using all of our apps, it is super easy to do your taxes. I mean, it's almost like running a spreadsheet. It's not that hard. A lot of people think, the taxes, and I got this going on. No, stop doing your own taxes. Stop it. Stop doing your own bookkeeping. Stop it. There's this suite of services is fantastic. We'll talk more about these when we get back from the breaks. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate.
Mike's off.
All right, what do we see here? Okay, is that all we got?
Hi, Clint Coons here,
Everybody's
attorney
pretty
and
quiet.
avid real estate investor.
All right.
You know, the greatest mistake real estate investors make is not understanding the potential liability that exists from owning real estate. At Anderson Business, Legal, and Tax Advisors, we specialize in protecting real estate investors in all 50 states. In addition to structuring your business for
I hadn't heard this new ad
provide
yet.
guidance, so you
I was
pay
like,
the
where are we
least
going with
amount of
this?
taxes available under the law. We have 150 employees that range from lawyers to CPAs to estate planners and much more. Download
So
a
we got
free ebook, The Invisible
hit on
Investor
legal,
Strategy,
hit on tax,
today
hit on
at
tax spot. Haven't hit on
andersonadvisors.com
credit
or call
repair.
for a free
Yeah, let's talk about
risk
credit
reduction
repair.
analysis and financial blueprint at 800-706-4741.
All right, Sarah sent me a
Anderson
text.
Business
What do we got
Advisors
going
will help
on
you
here?
keep more
Oops.
of what you earn.
Trying to
Call
think
us
if there's
today at
anything else.
800-706-4741 and mention Right Path Real Estate.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes, binders, and the agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management experts. Benchmark Insurance Group of
Mobile
Texas.
health.
281
Oh yes, let's talk about mobile health
Okay.
and health insurance. Let's talk about the mobile health specifically, and then maybe
Are
we
you
can talk a
looking for
little
an
bit about health
investor-friendly
insurance.
general
This is a
contractor
really
for your investment
short
property?
break,
Then call
or
Fast
really
Track
short
Remodeling at
segment.
832
But yeah, that'd be great.
742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties, whether it's a flip, rehab, or a
I
rental
wish I
rehab.
could remember
no
the
more managing it
percentage of
yourself.
urgent care
No more doing the
visits
work
that are
yourself.
unnecessary.
Fast Track Remodeling really
Oh,
does manage
and
it.
More
it's
than half.
So give us a call today.
and it's
at
stuff like I just
832-742-9992.
need antibiotics and
Are you a realtor
I'm almost to
seller
that point
that
where I
is
just need the
concerned about
steroid
new
shot
trade rules and closing on time?
and
I'm Jennifer
some what is
Hernandez,
that
Senior Loan
Mucinex
Officer at
and
Legacy Mutual Mortgage.
Yeah,
and
especially
we've
this time of
mastered
year.
The 30-day close.
You guys
We
will
close
experience
on
this when you
time,
move to
accurately, and with
Texas.
tons of communication. You'll have a
When we get weather like this,
dedicated
where it
team
gets
of a
it
coordinator
gets cold
and a
and then it gets
contract
hot and then it gets
close
cold within a
associate.
span of
Give
like
me a
2 or
call
3 days,
today at
everybody gets sick.
713-579-3611.
It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, you get this cold and all that. My boys have it. Sarah's got it. So it's just
NMLS
part of living down here.
514-4497.
Y'all won't have
Real
allergies
estate
for probably
investors,
another 10
if you're
years,
not
and then you'll start
familiar
getting
with Quest
allergies.
IRA, let me tell you what you're
I've
missing.
been fortunate
We've
that
got
way.
free
Robert does
weekly
get 'em.
educational
Does he?
I'm pretty
classes,
lucky.
networking opportunities,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
just
ability to tap into trillions of dollars for your real estate investing deals. Come by our office or join us remotely as we simulcast all of our educational classes every
geez, I'm
Tuesday
getting a
morning
bunch of text
and
messages.
evening. For more information, call us at 1-855-FUN-IRAs or visit our website
Found the
at
adapter. Okay, great.
questira.com.
You found or inherited a great investment property.
How's
Problem
that
is,
over
you
at
don't know
the-
how much it's
Yeah,
worth,
over
or
there.
More importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk.
We got a pretty good
Exactly why we started
couple of
Next Gen
kits.
Appraisals.
You know, everything
Next
rolls
Gen
up into a couple of boxes, and we put it in Andy's truck and take it wherever we need to go.
We
But
understand
it's
that
always
investors aren't just looking
this
for
little
a number
Apple
or piece of
adapter and
property,
this little
but
thing, and we
comprehensive
always end up spending like
analysis of the market.
$150
Give
on
Next
like
Gen a call
4
at
adapters. And so
713-346
last time we were in
9911
Dallas,
or
I
check
must
us
have
out
bought 4 or
online
5 of
at
these things. Put one in
nextgenappraisals.com.
my bag, put one in his bag, put one in all. So we all have, because if you're missing that one little adapter, it's not going to work.
Yep.
So
For mediocre results, there's a better place to invest.
Yeah,
The
we
experts
now
agree
have
single-family
laptop
real estate
chargers
is one of the
everywhere,
best
just like
investments
we
you
have
can
cell
Yeah.
phone chargers everywhere.
that's right.
Services.
So we bought an extra one here.
9%
This one sits in the
preferred
radio
returns,
show,
50%
and
waterfall.
then we've got one in my
Call today at
office,
281
and
755
then we keep one in your bag, and you don't ever
Yep.
take it out of your bag,
Yep.
right?
.com.
So,
That's 281
yeah,
915
being mobile is funny.
0906. This investment is offered to
Actually,
accredited investors.
this one, I'm charging now. Oh, here we go.
Call Jason at 713-785-1817 and look for us on Facebook Live at facebook.com/rightpathrealestate.
Hot mics.
Welcome back, Jason Bible. Talking about money mastery. I'm here with Kathryn Orfino. So let's talk about health insurance. It's about renewal time. So let's talk a little about health insurance.
Yeah, we just got our bill. Ours going up 28% this year.
Yeah. Oh wait, that Obamacare didn't work out so well, did it? Oops.
Yeah, exactly.
Ours has doubled in the last 2 years. It goes up about 50%. It seems like every year. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, lovely. So yeah, one of the services that we have with this suite that I absolutely love, partly for the money, but again also for the time, right, is mobile health care. And what that allows you to do is basically get on a video call or FaceTime with a nurse practitioner or a doctor, because I forget what the statistics are. It's well over half of all urgent care and emergency room visits are unnecessary. So if you have something wrong with yourself and you have to get in your car, you have to drive to the place, you have to wait behind, the people who are bleeding or unable to breathe till the doctor can eventually see you, and then they see you, they run a couple tests, you sit there in a cold room by yourself for a while, and eventually they say, oh, you need some antibiotics, and they write the prescription and they send you home. And that costs you time and it costs you money. Even if you have insurance, it costs you money. Well, with the mobile health care, what you can do is get on the phone with someone who can do that all virtually. You don't have to leave your house. They can tell you what to do, what steps to take. If you do need to go somewhere, they'll let you know that. And if they don't, if you just need a prescription, they'll write you the prescription. And it's got a neat little search function to it that you enter in the prescription. And it will search the 50 closest pharmacies to you.
Oh, wow.
And tell you which one has the lowest price for that particular prescription. And believe me, it varies from pharmacy to pharmacy.
Oh, you bet it does. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So the time savings as well as the money savings on that are crazy. And that's not something, we're pretty healthy. It's not something that we've really had to use, but I mean, the stories of people at home with kids, do I bundle everybody up in the car to take them to urgent care? No, I just get on my phone, the number's programmed in, and look, I'm in bed again in half an hour instead of having to go sit in the urgent care for 3 hours or whatever until they actually get to me.
Yeah, with my favorite, of course, I came from healthcare. Of course, my favorite is sitting in the waiting room with all the other sick people. And you look around and go, well, I'm going to get something worse, right? From all these folks. So if y'all are interested in sitting down, meeting with Kathryn, going through the dollars and cents, your personal finances. We haven't even talked about life insurance yet, but life insurance, health insurance, all that stuff. It's all this entire suite of services all under one roof. Send us an email, support@RightPath Real Estate, and you could put in the subject line Money Mastery, and we will reach out to you and
30 seconds.
Share the things that we're doing inside this group. It's absolutely fantastic. We're using it. You guys are using it. We're seeing a benefit. Everybody's seeing a benefit. It's absolutely awesome. Like I said, there's about 100 people in our group right now, and it's growing. So support at Right Path Real Estate, subject line Money Mastery. Any parting words of wisdom for our group here?
Like I said, that the savings was what I was really excited about, but I have to admit the Jeep is awfully nice as well.
The Jeep is nice. That's right. That's right. The Jeep is pretty sweet. So, Kathryn, thank you so much for being on the radio show with me today. This is great. We'll have to do it again. Guys, Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. I'm headed over the weekend retreat, and I'll see you guys on the radio show, Bright-Eyed, Bushy-Tailed Monday morning. Thanks for listening.
All right, have a good one, guys.
All right, thanks.